Hey everyone, I'm Jake. Welcome to our channel and the topic for today's video, OINP, Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program. In fact, I'm making this video after lots of messages I've received from my subscribers and viewers, and they want to know about OINP. It is in fact one of the most popular immigration plan for Canada. So before we start this video, the big question that I want to throw at all of you, that should you even consider applying for OINP? I mean, keeping in mind the significant application fees of 1500 Canadian dollars. It is a big question. Should you even apply for it? Would you qualify for it? Does your job profile even fit into OINP priority list? In this video, I'm going to provide you answers for all these questions and once and for all clear all your doubts regarding OINP. Now, before I start the video, first confusion that I want to clear is a lot of people think that how do they apply for OINP? The very simple answer is that you cannot directly apply for OINP. It is the OINP authorities who are going to shortlist you or identify your job profile and then send you NOI, that is the notification of interest. Only after that you can apply for OINP. So before we move further ahead into the video, since I have mentioned that NOC is the most important thing, only when the province of Ontario needs your job profile, you are going to get the NOI. So I'm going to quickly share one update of the last OINP Human Capital Priority Stream draw, which came out on 13th February 2020. And in that draw, the NOC or the job profiles which got notification of interest from OINP, I'm going to provide an entire list so you can see if you fall within those categories or not, or only then you have any hope of getting the NOI. Alright guys, so the OINP targeted candidates with a CRS between 467 and 471 and work experience in the following NOC code. You can check the NOC codes here: financial managers, other administrative services managers, advertising, marketing and public relations manager, corporate sales managers, retail and wholesale trade managers, managers in custom and personal services, financial auditors and accountants, and so on and so forth. You can have a look at the entire table. So to be eligible for OINP nomination or the notification of interest, you have to have work experience in any of these NOC codes. Only then you will have any chance of getting NOI. Alright, let's move ahead and break down the information for this video now. So as I said in the beginning, you cannot directly apply for OINP. The first step to even get considered for OINP is that you need to have a valid express entry profile. How to create an express entry profile? I'll provide the link in the description. Just follow that and click on it. Go to the website of IRCC, follow the instruction and create your express entry profile. Once you get selected into the express entry pool, you will receive your express entry profile number and the job seeker validation code. Now, keeping in mind all my subscribers and viewers, I know that all of you guys or majority of you will be applying from outside Canada. In that case, the most suitable stream of OINP for you is the Human Capital Priority Stream. To qualify for Ontario Express Entry Human Capital Priority Stream, you must meet the requirements of either of these two immigration programs. Number one is Federal Skilled Workers Program and Canadian Experience Class. So as I said, according to my subscribers and viewers, the most suitable out of these two is also Federal Skilled Workers Program. So the OINP authorities now, they conduct their own research and survey throughout the province of Ontario, and they find out as per the employers or the companies operating in the entire Ontario province, that which job vacancies needs to be filled, and they keep in mind the LMIA, that is the Labor Market Impact Assessment, and based on that they identify certain NOC codes or the job profiles which they want to shortlist in the express entry pool. Based on their research, if your NOC codes falls within those required jobs or jobs in demand at that time in Ontario, the OINP authorities are then gonna shortlist you as a candidate and send you the NOI, that is the notification of interest. After you receive the NOI from the OINP authorities, you get around 45 calendar days to complete your application and submit all your documents, which you will do on the OINP e-filing portal. I provided the link in the description for that also. You can check it out. It is your choice. Either you can do it yourself, or if you want to appoint an official representative, in which case it can be a registered consultant or a consultancy firm as well. Another important part is you don't have to complete your application in just one go or in one day. You get 45 days. So make sure that all your documents are correct and everything is in order. Only then you complete. You can always save your profile, come back again on it, open it, and put in your documents. So it's a process you can complete within 45 days. Now, one point that you need to keep in mind is that just receiving an NOI, that is the notification of interest, is not 100% guarantee that you're going to receive your permanent residency to Canada. It is just an interest shown in your express entry profile. Now, after that NOI, the OINP, Human Capital Priority Stream, it has its own qualification criteria in which you need to score 67 points out of 100 based on their point grid system, which I will tell you in just a couple of minutes. And only if you get the minimum 67 points, your application will be further processed. Otherwise, your application will be rejected and your $1,500 additional fees that you have paid for OINP is going to go for waste. And let me tell you, this 1,500 Canadian dollar extra fees for OINP is in addition to your express entry profile fees. That is separate. The only situation in which your $1,500 fees will be refunded is only if your application is incomplete or you withdraw your application before the processing starts. So in this video, I'm definitely gonna address the biggest elephant in the room, and that is the 67-point grid system to qualify for the OINP Human Capital Priority Stream. Before that, let's start and quickly go through the basic eligibility criteria for federal skilled worker under the Human Capital Priority Stream for OINP. So let's start with the first requirement of work experience for federal skilled worker stream, and that is at least 1 year of continuous paid full-time work experience or the equivalent in paid part-time work experience in skill type 0 or skill level A or B of the national occupation classifications. For the NOC classification as well, I have provided the link in the description. You can check your NOC code on that link. Moving further now, your work experience must have been obtained within the last 5 years from the date of submitting your application to the OINP. And it has to be in the same primary occupation as you identified in your express entry profile. Your work experience could be gained in Canada or outside Canada. Both will count. One thing which they have clearly mentioned is the continuous work experience, which means that within that period of 1 year of work experience, there should be no break. Another important point here when we talk about the work experience is that work experience of 1 year without break can be with the same employer or different employers as well, but it has to be non-stop work experience and in the same occupation. Now, under both these programs, one thing that you need to understand is the mandatory requirement is 1 year. So let's say if you have completed your 1560 hours of total work time in less than a year, in that case, it will not be eligible as a work experience. 1560 hours have to be completed in exactly 1 year. So that's what they mean by full-time work experience, which means 30 hours per week of paid work. That amounts to 1560 total hours within a period of 1 year. And another option of equivalent work experience in part-time job, which means that instead of 30 hours a week, if you have worked 15 hours per week for 2 years, that again amounts to 1560 hours in a total duration of 2 years. That is also acceptable as your work experience. Also, in case of part-time work experience, that is acceptable is if you have completed 30 hours of paid work through multiple part-time jobs within a period of 1 year, even that would be acceptable. Any kind of volunteer work or internship does not count in your work experience. Alright, moving on to the second mandatory requirement, and that is the education requirements. You must have a Canadian bachelor's, master's or PhD degree or an equivalent degree from your own country. If you have completed your studies just like me from outside Canada, in that case you need to get your ECA, that is your Education Credential Assessment. So from all these different organizations which have been designated, you can get your ECA done. I got it done through WES. It was a pretty efficient and streamlined process, so you can check out WES as well. Also, the OINP authorities must be able to confirm your ECA report with the organization from you where you got it done. So in that case, you have to authorize, let's say for example WES, you have to authorize WES to share your test results with OINP. All right, third mandatory requirement is the language capabilities. In order to qualify for your OINP Human Capital Priority Stream, you must score CLB 7 or higher. CLB means the Canadian Language Benchmark. So I appeared in IELTS, though they accept IELTS and CELPE both. So whichever you choose, you have to score CLB 7 or higher. In case you select the second language as well, that is the French. For that, these are the two options. I can't pronounce them. You can read it here, and these are the ones you can select for giving your test. Next mandatory requirement is the settlement funds. You must prove to the OINP authorities that you have sufficient funds in your account to support yourself and any of your family member if they are accompanying you. I provided the required settlement funds in case of OINP depending on the number of your family members, so you can check it out as well. Also, in case if you have a job offer in Ontario, in that case, whatever is your annual salary that is coming from your job, you can deduct that from the settlement fund, and the balance is the amount that you have to show as your settlement funds. Next mandatory requirement is your intention to live in Ontario. So what it says is that you must intend to live in Ontario after you're granted permanent residency. So for that, there are certain criteria. How do they determine that you're going to live in Ontario or you have intention of living in Ontario? Number one, of course, when you get your permanent residency, you get a job here in Ontario, you live in Ontario, you work in Ontario. So that means getting jobs or applying for interviews, going for interviews, doing that entire process in the province of Ontario. Then either studying or volunteering for community services, leasing or owning property, having professional network affiliation and family ties or some relative in Ontario. Now coming on to the main mandatory requirement in case you are getting assessed against the Federal Skilled Worker Program, and that is the 67-point grid system. Now I would say that this is the most important part of OINP if you're applying under FSWP. Out of the 100 points, you can score 67 based on these 6 main criteria. Number 1 is your language abilities. So for your first official language test result, I provided you the breakdown of the entire score. The maximum point that you can score is 24. Let's say for example, if you scored CLB 9 or higher, in that case you get maximum 6 points for each your speaking, reading, writing and listening. So that makes 24 points. So based on your CLB level, you will be able to score these points as you can see on the table here. I'm going to proceed further with the video. You can pause the video and calculate your score based on these points. Now moving on to the next criteria, and that is your education. For education, you can score maximum 25 points and I provided the entire breakdown as per your education level. You can calculate your scores. Moving on to the third criteria, and that is your work experience. In the work experience criteria, you can score maximum 15 points and you can check the breakdown here. All depends on whether you have 1 year experience, 2 year experience, 3 or more. Check it out and calculate your score as per your own work experience. Now moving on to the fourth criteria, and that is your age. The golden spot that I figured out in this age bracket is the 18 to 35 where you get the maximum point. Rest you can check your age and calculate your score. Next criteria is arranged employment. Now I would say that this criteria does not apply to majority of my subscribers or my viewers of my channel because it involves getting a job offer. So if you don't have a job offer, then you won't be able to get these points, and the job offer has to also be in the full-time paid employment, and it cannot be a seasonal employment or lesser than 1 year of job offer. And of course, it goes without saying it has to be in the NOC skill level 0 or skill type A or B. Next criteria is adaptability, for which you can score maximum 10 points. So what is adaptability? I would say that this is one criteria which even me and Demi use for increasing our CRS score. So it basically shows that you can use your spouse or your common law partner's language scores or their educational qualifications or their work experience in Canada to get these points. I have given you the breakdown here. You can see it and the like you see the first one, your spouse or partner's language level. So if your spouse or common law partner has a language level in either English or French at CLB level 4 or higher, you can get 5 points. Same way you can check their education and other criteria as well on this slide. All right, guys. So that was a 67-point grid system. I think this 67 or 70 points, every PNP program has its own requirement, but it applies to almost every PNP program. Only before, I would say that before you even go ahead and start filing your application on OINP and invest your 1500 Canadian dollars, make sure to check what information I provided you to see that are you even getting 67 points or not. Because even though you have got NOI from OINP authorities based on your express entry profile and eligibility criteria, if even after receiving that NOI, you don't qualify on the stream specific requirement of 67 points, your application will be rejected and your money will not be refunded. So make sure you address this elephant in the room before thinking about applying for OINP. Alright guys, so that was all the information that I had for you. I hope it helped you and cleared your confusion. I wish you all the best to fulfill your dreams of immigrating to Canada, and I'm gonna see you next time in another informational video. Bye.